10 mistakes DadBod's make. So this is just simply a webinar around some of the learnings that I've had from doing this for a while. I've got a PowerPoint to drive me through this, but because it's only a small group, it's also important. Darren's actually on the DadBod journey with me, so we're 6 weeks in, and we've done some good things, Darren. So I'll get you to talk to that in a minute. Carl's been hanging around the outside making noises for the last few months. Aaron's been hanging around the outside making noises. So you guys, I don't know. I'll talk to you guys in a minute about where you are currently. But the idea of this is really just to give you a snapshot of some of the mistakes that I see guys make when they start out. And then I'm going to throw to you guys to give me a bit of any questions you may have or anything specific that makes sense. This is not school, guys, so feel free to ask any questions at any time. So any questions before we kick off?
Not at all.
No, beautiful, easy. Settle in, lads. Let me do the shared screen thing. I'll get used to doing this shit. Here we are. Beautiful. Got that. 10 mistakes DadBod's make. That seems to be the right one. All right. Now let's move. You see, I'm technology savvy. This is where I need Lino. That's where she fucking leaves me. The critical time, she leaves me. Here we are. Play. Beautiful. Now, if I'm correct, guys, you should be able to see that first screen. If I'm not, we're in trouble.
Yep,
Beauty.
I can see it.
Good,
yep.
Awesome. Throw that away. All right. So I'm just going to flick through the first one there. So the Zoom stuff is simply, this is recorded. So you can take notes, Carl. I know you're a notes guy. You can take notes, but I'll send you, or Zoom will send you automatically a link to the recording of this. So if you want to go back and look at any of these slides, you're most welcome. You want to send it on to anybody. It's not proprietary, guys. You can send it on to mates. Anybody else needs to kick up the arse. Who's in the zoo is simply who you guys are. So I've introduced you briefly, but I am, because it's a small group, going to get you to unmute and sort of have a bit of a chat about yourselves in a minute. So gear yourself up for that. Do your hair, Aaron. Your hair's a fucking mess, mate. Sort your hair out. Make yourself look pretty.
Oh.
And that's right, mate. And the plan, guys, is really simple. There's 10 here, and I'm going to talk to them. And the good thing about the fact there's only a small group, I can probably talk a little bit to each of you about some of the mistakes that guys have made on this journey, and hopefully, I know Darren, you're in good care because I'm looking after you. But Carl and Naren, on your wellness journey and the stuff you're doing, some of this may resonate. But feel free to ask questions. So let's move forward. This is probably the reason it's number one, is because when we start the DadBod journey, one of the first things I'm going to ask you is the compelling why, which is essentially my wanky term for what's going to drive you when shit gets tough. Now, I can talk to Darren because Darren's got type 1 diabetes. And if he doesn't do this shit, he potentially will have some life-threatening medical issues. Potentially his diabetes will get the bad side of him. Darren's got a bunch of kids. He's got a wife. He's got a family. So when I first met Darren, we started talking about what's his compelling why, what's going to drive him. So one of the things I'm going to ask each of you to do is think deeper before you start your wellness journey or your DadBod journey, whatever you want to call it, is what are your compelling whys? Aaron, you've just given me 2. You've got 2 little daughters there somewhere, and that's a compelling why. What I find with a lot of guys is when I say to them, what's your why? And they go, well, I just want to tone up. I want to lose weight. I want to feel good at the beach. I want to be able to, I don't want to puff when I walk up a hill. They're all important goals, but that's not the sort of compelling why that's going to drive you when it's early in the morning, it's freezing cold and you've got to go for a walk, or when you're faced with a couple of pieces of really good-looking pizza and you've got to make a smart choice, or when you're out with your mates and there's a choice of having a beer or a soda water. It's when those things happen that you dig deep and say, the reason I'm doing this is because I've got this compelling why that's going to drive me to get the results. So Darren, for you, am I right, the main compelling why as to why you joined this program was around diabetes?
Yeah, essentially around that and the difficulties of losing weight, being a type 1 diabetic. Yeah.
Cool. And if you didn't do this, so if I didn't like you and said, no, I'm not going to fucking work with you, and we didn't start this journey and get the results you've got. What's the implications if you don't look after your weight gain and you don't manage your diabetes? What's the downside? What could happen?
Yes, severe health issues, of course.
Yep.
Which, that's a direct impact on my family.
Yep, absolutely.
So that's the driving factor.
Yep. And obviously you've got family responsibility. If you become a fat fuck and you're ugly, Renee's going to leave you because you're no longer an attractive man. So
yep.
there's obviously that risk. But
yep.
on the serious side, you've got a bunch of kids to look after, you've got responsibilities, you've got a job to hold down. So if you don't manage your wellness properly, there's a whole bunch of compelling reasons or compelling sort of issues that occur if you don't look after yourself, True?
Absolutely. And when that's all done, I want to hop in a fucking Winnebago and do a couple of laps around Australia, and I want to be fit and strong enough to be able to do that.
Absolutely. That's to be able to enjoy those last 20, 30 years of your life and doing something productive rather than sort of in an old people's home doing fuck all with a bunch of money. Aaron, for you, mate,
yep.
You've got 2 kids.
Yep.
If you were starting a program with me today and I said, what's the main driver? What's the compelling why for you, buddy?
Oh, I just think it's I run a pretty large business, and I've just been finding I've just turned 40. I turned 41 a couple of days ago, and it just got to a stage where I'm just like, I need to look after my mental health. I need to look after my gut. I've been finding that I get gut cramps time to time, and I'm just finding that my issues, are well beyond the realm. I need to start looking after myself, basically, in a lot of aspects. I've been finding I wake up when I sleep, and after a big sleep, and I'm just wake up like I've been hit by a truck. I need to start getting my whole health on track, and and this is where I come to you guys.
You've obviously got the responsibility to the kids, and I presume you've got a wife or a partner there somewhere.
Yeah, got a wife.
And staff in the business.
Yeah. So I've got a fair few staff that I'm responsible for. So I've got to be constantly on the ball in so many different aspects, especially physical aspects. You know what I mean? I'm the be all and end all with the business. So I've got to uphold my end of the bargain. And that's all right.
Yeah. So if you fall over, there's a significant impact on your kids, your partner, your wife, and the employees and the
Absolutely.
business. There's a big domino effect. What sort of business is it?
It's a plumbing business.
Okay, beautiful. So it's quite physical. Yeah. So it's quite physical work, even though you're in a supervisory role.
Yeah. Well, I don't do much on the tools anymore. I've got 15 staff, so they basically be doing other things, but I'm basically running day to day. So I'm going to be on mentally, and my body, again, my body's wrecked, and I need, I wake up and my back's sore, my elbows are sore, my shoulders are sore, and I just feel like it's not just beyond a soreness, it's everything else that goes with it,
Yeah.
And
that's
what
and I find a lot of guys, sorry to jump in, but I find a lot of guys like yourself who've been on the tools and then built a business and moved into a role where they're no longer on the tools.
Yeah.
That's unfortunately a challenge, because you get off the tools and your body's used to doing activities, and so therefore it struggles to not exercise or not doing physical work again. So that's a challenge, isn't it?
Well, that's right. It's a huge challenge, and you've got to be I used to be doing physically fit and everything like that, and all of a sudden now I'm not really doing it as much, and I need to get back in shape, and especially with my eating, like I'm gullible to anything. You put a pizza in front of me, I'll smash it. You know what I mean? It's
yeah, we know
the hardest part for me.
Carl, what about yourself? What would be your compelling why?
Well, I mean, I do have a family. I have a child. I want to stay healthy for them. I don't want to burden them with any health issues that I have. I also like to play sports. I want to be able to play sports well, right. And I also just a fear of death too, which I've had since for a long time. Most people have, and one of the ways that I can alleviate that is by being healthy and strong, and kind of be able to stay alive, really. So it comes down to just a fear of death.
Okay. So fear of death because you've had experience, or is there a legitimate reason as to why you should fear death? Is there a medical history or something that you're worried about, or is it just a genuine, I don't want to die, I want to die?
Just kind of like the whole like snowballing effect of health effects, like if just like poor health and like a heart attack and stuff like that. No, nothing's actually happened.
Yep.
Which is good. But I was born, or no, I was back in second grade. I did have brain surgery, which got pretty close to death. So I survived that, and here I am. So
you've got a legitimate reason to be fearful and look after yourself.
Yeah, pretty much.
Beautiful.
So,
guys, thank you. Thanks for sharing. I'm going to move forward. Second one there is living in the past. So this is from my experience, one of the big ones around guys at our age. So I'm 56. Aaron, you're 40. You've just turned 40, 41?
41.
Darren,
yeah.
you're in your 50s. Carl, how old are you?
45.
45. So we're all mature age, but often when we start this journey, if we don't think about it, we tend to go back to when we're in our 20s or 30s and we do the dumb shit we did when we were young. So typically your mind goes back to, I used to play rugby, I used to play squash, I used to run, I used to do these activities. So back then, when in my 20s and 30s, I was in good shape. So now I'm in my 40s and 50s. If I just go back and do what I did previously, that's a mistake a lot of guys make, and they end up injuring themselves, or they end up doing the activity that's just an inappropriate activity for a male body over 40. What we know physiologically is that the male body over 40 needs a different type of exercise regime to the male body under 40. And if you just go back and do the stuff that worked in your 20s and 30s, you'll either injure yourself or you won't get the results. So one of those, one of the reasons I have it as a mistake there is I meet so many guys who, I've gone back to rugby, I've gone back to this, I've gone back, and they end up not getting the results they want. So I hope that one makes sense. I can see from the nodding that it does. Sorry, someone's going to say something. Carl, are you going to say something?
Nope.
No, cool. All right. Purple circle. We love the purple circle. That's my fancy word for not considering those who are closest to you when you start your dad bod journey. I cannot tell you how many guys have fucked up their dad bod journey because they've started out following a process, changing the way they're eating, changing the way they're exercising, looking after their sleep, and then a month in, 6 weeks in, someone in their life gets their nose out of joint and says, I'm sick of buying new food, I'm sick of you being at the gym, I'm sick of you not staying up and watching Netflix, or something in their world conflicts with their new journey. So it's a mistake a lot of guys make where at the start of their wellness journey, they don't gather their stakeholders, the kids, partner, family, colleagues, and say, this is what I'm doing. I'm going on this wellness journey. And if that individual is going to be in contact with them or conflict with them, that they have the conversation around, when we go to the pub on a Friday night, I'm going to be drinking soda water for the next 12 weeks. Or I'm going to take 3 times a week and go to the gym because that's part of what I need to do. Or I no longer want to eat pizza and shit chips and other things. I want to eat some healthy food. So it's making sure that, first of all, we identify who are the key people, which I'm going to call stakeholders or the purple circle. Who are those key people in our lives that could make or break our wellness journey? And then making sure we have that open, honest communication to those individuals and say, this is what I'm doing and this is why I'm doing it. I don't want to die. I've got kids, I've got a business, I've got a family, I've got diabetes, whatever those reasons are. Having that conversation so they're very clear on your compelling why and making sure that they support you and they're on board. And if you do that well, when you do find that it gets tough during the wellness journey, those people come to the rescue and they provide support. If we don't do it well and we just bully our way through and take off on our own, those people tend to get their nose out of joint and they're less than supportive when you're going on a wellness journey. Make sense?
Yeah.
Surround those people. Darren, did you have that conversation with Renee when you started?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I took your advice on that from the beginning, and Everyone in the family under the house, they knew what I was about to start on, and yeah, it's been okay.
Yeah, it's been good because you sat down with your kids are at home, the older ones, so you sat down with them and you sat down with Renee and you said, this is what we're doing. Because Renee's involved in food purchasing, food preparation, the kids are around for eating. There's a bunch of things that Darren's doing on his wellness journey that impact the others in the house. And by having that conversation up front, and now during the last 6 or 7 weeks that Darren and I have been working together, as he's hit milestones, as he's lost weight and changed shape, the family are going, yeehaw, because they're supporting it, because they're part of the journey. They're not on the outside going, hang on a second, you're pissing me off because you're off doing gym work and you're off doing your own thing. So you get a support crew rather than people who sort of challenge you on the journey. That's mistake number 3. Number 4, this is an interesting one, ground zero. I get a lot of guys, and the reason these are mistakes, guys, it's purely from observing people who either I don't coach or I've just worked with and they've made these mistakes. A lot of guys, when they say, I'm going to start a wellness journey, they always choose food first, which is probably the right thing to do. But before they start looking at what they're currently eating, they jump straight into changing their eating. So the ignoring food ground zero is really the concept of, for 7 days, figuring out what you normally eat. So you've got an awareness and an education and understanding of what currently goes in your mouth before you make changes. So many guys start a wellness journey and then they leap into low carbs, or they leap into this, or they leap into that. So what I encourage a lot of guys to do is, before you make a change, figure out your ground zero. I should be able to say to each of you, if you're about to start, how many calories a day you're eating, what are your carbohydrates, what are your proteins, what are your fats. They're the 4 key numbers, because if you know that now, then when we start to make some changes, we've got a ground zero to work with. We can start to play with those numbers. If you just make changes, we're not sure what's working. We're not sure where your start point is. If we're thinking project management methodology, we haven't got a start point. We've just started the project before we've got a baseline or a plan. So that's probably one of the bigger mistakes, is guys are so keen. If you're an A-type personality, want to go get, so keen to get started, we tend to make the change before we've actually started the plan and got the ground zero. Make sense? Mm-hmm. Beautiful. Feel free to ask questions, guys. I'm just going to flick through these because I'm going to have conversations as we go through. But if anything doesn't make sense, just wave or yell. Dumb movement is kind of similar to the other one, but it's not just necessarily going back to your 20s. It's guys who choose inappropriate exercises for their age, their stage, and their physical condition. And it could be exercises from their past when they're in their 20s, or it could, and often it's exercises or movement that their mates are doing, that someone else is doing, that just appeals because it's something that they can have easy access to. So it might be that their mates go to the gym, so they go, I'll just go to the gym with my mate and do that program. Or their mates play, a particular sport, so they jump in with that under the banner of it's exercise, so it's okay. Again, it's the mistake of, if you're going to invest, and we're saying 5 to 7 hours a week of regular exercise, if you're doing something on a daily basis, make sure it's the exercise to give you the results you want. There are some exercises that will give you weight loss and fat loss and cardiovascular fitness and muscle tone and muscle strength. And there's some that will do none of that. They'll just expose you to injury. So it's looking at your body and saying, you know what, I need to lose weight. So if I need to lose weight and I need to tone up, then I need to choose an exercise that's going to give me those results, not one that's convenient and fun and I enjoy doing, but it's going to give me none of the results. And I have a lot of guys who just tend to go to the easy fix rather than sitting back and actually planning their exercise program and then wondering why they don't get the results they want. They end up, 6, 12 weeks down the track, their body hasn't changed shape or they haven't got the results. They're enjoying themselves and having fun, but they're not getting the results they want. Number 6, PPP. You'll know all about this, Aaron, if you're in the plumbing game. Piss poor or proper planning prevents piss poor performance. So if you're I used to work in the resources sector and up in the mines in Australia, and this was a big one. If you don't plan, you will fuck it up. And I always find it quite strange how so many guys who work in industry or work in business or work in very structured environments where project management, project planning, that methodology is drilled into them on a daily basis. And then they come home and they throw all the planning methodology out the window and they just chuck boots and all into a wellness program, even though it's one of the biggest projects you'll undergo if you think food, movement, sleep, mindset. And if you think about it as a 12-week project, think about the amount of hours that you eat, sleep, exercise, and think on a daily basis. That's a mother of a project. But there's so many guys who put very little planning into that personal project. And then we get to the point of halfway through the program where they don't know what they're eating tomorrow. They don't know when they're next exercising. They haven't planned the week of sleep or their schedule, so they don't know if they're going to get decent sleep or not. So the mistake here is all around apply your planning methodology, apply the planning smarts that you use at work that you must do to be successful in business and work and career. Use that planning to make sure that you plan your food. So as Darren would know, I would expect that any guys who train with me or work with me, that as we sit here today, you would know what you're eating tomorrow and it should be planned into your tracker of some type so that tomorrow you're not waking up and go, what the fuck am I going to eat today? You've got a plan. You know what food you're going to eat. You know what the numbers are going to be. You've probably shopped for it. Someone's prepared it or you've prepared it and you know what the food is. That's not meal prep. It's about knowing what you're going to eat so that when you get to tomorrow, you're just executing the plan. I'm sure, Aaron, you don't turn up on the work side and get there and go, okay, what are we going to do? Yeah, you got to plan. Right. It just makes sense. And same with exercise. I know with Darren, I know exactly when Darren's going to train. It's in his planner. I know these are the days he's doing training. And so Darren in his mindset on Monday knows for the next 7 days when he's going to train. And so Renee, the kids, the family, the work, everything else is planned around that because that's in advance. And again, with sleep, more difficult, but Darren, again, I'm using Darren as a great example because he's my guinea pig. But Darren, as we sit here today, we know for the next 7 days, is there any travel, social commitments? Is there stuff? Is there date nights? Is there stuff coming up that's going to impact him getting good quality sleep? And that's planned in advance. And that shit's going to happen. There's going to be events and there's going to be things that impact, but we know in advance so we can work around that. That planning piece means at the end of the next 7 days, Darren's eaten well, he's exercised well, he's slept well, and lo and behold, his body's gone the next step and he's got more results. So Darren, for you, planning's important?
Yes, absolutely. Yep.
You are a planner. Aaron, obviously for you, with your business and your staff, you need to plan ahead.
Absolutely, I do.
Yep, so it's just part of your process. Aaron, Carl, are you a planner?
At our job, we don't. We plan like the day, and we kind of have an idea of what to do in the future. But I work in a dental office, and it's very very kind of moment by moment as far as scheduling, and so not really.
Okay, but you'd have appointments. There'd be patients coming in on a appointment basis. Is that right?
Yeah.
So
scheduling and all that stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. So when you get to work, you'll have an idea of who's coming in when, and you have a plan, and you have some visibility of when you start, when you finish, what the day is going to look like. Yeah.
Definitely, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So that's just planning. Yeah, that's just planning. It's taking that mindset into your wellness journey and using the planning methodology when you're planning your wellness journey. That's mistake number 6. Number 7, my passion is sleep. If you've listened to my ravings. And the reason why, guys, is because from my background and your background, when we were all in our 20s and 30s, none of us got told that sleep was important. Because back when we were all in our 20s and 30s, sleep wasn't important. We had people saying sleep when you're dead. We had people saying survive on 5 hours. We had people saying you're a pussy if you need to sleep. That was the mindset that we all grew up with around sleep is something that only the weak need. Now, 20, 30, 40 years later, we have sleep science. So we have proven sort of beyond doubt that 90% of some of the most significant physical functions and brain functions occur when we're asleep. So if I'm saying to you, you want to lose fat, you want to build muscle, you want to repair your metabolism, those three activities occur when you sleep. You can eat as well as you want to, you can exercise as well as you want to, but the three goals that you want are going to occur when you sleep. If you don't want a foggy brain, the brain is going to be cleansed when you sleep. So what I find is there's 90% of the goals that guys want on their dad bod journey are activities that your body will perform when you're asleep. However, so many guys jump in and they fix their food, they fix their exercise, their sleep doesn't get fixed and they don't get the result. So I call it sleep ignorance, but it's around the science of sleep and understanding that the quality and the quantity of sleep for the male body over 40 is absolutely critical to our physical and our mental wellness. And if we don't get our head around that, all the other activities don't work if we don't get the right amount of sleep. So Carl, scale of 1 to 10, with 1 being shit, 10 being amazing. Give me a number for the quality of your sleep.
I would say probably about a 4.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah, I go to bed. I go to bed late, and I usually get up around 5 to exercise.
You're fine. It's 5 o'clock in the morning, and you're up.
Yeah, I'm usually up this time anyway, but I usually exercise right when I wake up, and I usually it's usually my only time to do it with the family. So it's tough.
But that's actually okay. So the early morning exercise is good because your testosterone's up and cortisol's kicking, so that's good. But if you're rating yourself a 4, there's some issues there. Aaron, for you, 1 shit, 10 good. Where do you sit?
I would say probably at a 7 to 8, to be honest.
What's the gap between 7 and 10 for you?
Interrupted sleep. So I get up probably about once or twice during the night to go to the toilet. Maybe because I have a cup of tea at a certain time, which I cut out.
Yeah. It's probably a combination of things. But so your sleep's interrupted. You're not getting the quality of sleep. And do the kids come in and kick you during the night and wake you up?
No. The girls are fine. They're fine. It's just that, I go to bed at 10 o'clock, out like a light straight away. I used to stress out over work the next day or beforehand, but not anymore. But it's usually a couple of interrupted when I get up to go to the toilet, and obviously when you wake up, it's totally interrupted your sleep.
Cool. So Darren, for you, since we started, been 6 weeks, is there any noticeable difference between the quality of your sleep when we started and now after a bit of clean eating, bit of exercise, a bit of focus on sleep? What's the difference for you?
Yeah, there is an improvement. My sleep was pretty shit though to begin with, so it's definitely a work in progress. But with the techniques that you've been helping me with, it has improved.
Yeah, and so you can now see the importance of getting good quality sleep and how it affects your willingness to eat healthily and your willingness to exercise and your clarity of thought, and how a lot of guys say to me, if I have shit sleep the rest of the day, I start the day already on the back foot, and the food and the movement side of things is a struggle, and the mindset struggles because I'm starting the day pre-fatigued.
Yeah, completely. Absolutely.
Yeah. So for me, guys, mistake number 7, sleep ignorance, is a big one. When we do a program, whether you do a coaching program with me or whether you just follow my noise, I always do food, movement, sleep as week 3. I'm a firm believer that week 1 you should start doing the food side of things, because we shouldn't try and do everything at once. So week 1 we look at food. Week 2 we start playing with exercise and include some regular exercise. Week 3 we start doing sleep, and week 4 we start doing mindset. So by the end of the first 4 weeks of your wellness program, whether it's with me or by yourself, you're then looking at making sure you're eating well, exercising regularly, your sleep is being targeted and looked after. And then we start the mindset side of things, which is your blockers and motivators. So sleep is critical, and I could rave about it for hours. Number 8, this is really interesting, the blame mindset. And this is all about mindset. I have so many guys who tell me about their past, and they have this blame mentality. I have PTSD. I was a war vet. I broke up with my missus. I was fat all my life. There's a focus and an unhealthy focus on some of the events in the past, that focus now allows those events to be brought to the current time and become almost excuses or validations for failure. So first of all, we've all had an interesting past. So we've all had highs and lows. I've had my 3 or 4 years as an alcoholic and done my shit, and I've been fat and skinny and ups and downs. We've all done that. And if I talk to you individually, you could all talk me through some of the dramas you've had. So there's no doubt you don't get to 40, 50, 60 years old without having some dramas. It's really the question of whether you allow some of the shit in the past becoming part of your blame mindset, as I can't achieve this in the future because I've always been fat, or my missus left me when I was 30, or the kids don't talk to me, or I've been bankrupt, or whatever it might be. There's always shit we point to in the past that could be a reason why we don't get success. So one of the mistakes I see a lot of guys make is allowing their past to dictate what happens in their future. So I guess my steer for guys on a wellness journey is you have to draw that line in the sand. You have to respect the past and learn from it, whatever shit happened, and then take those learnings and apply them in a positive way to the future, making sure that you take what happened there, not as baggage, but as a learning, and move it forward. If you look back and say, I've always done, in the past, whenever I did high impact exercise, I hurt my knee. That's cool. You take the learning, high impact exercise and my knees may not be the right thing to do. Take the learning without the bullshit, noise, grief, aggro, put it into the future and say, I'm going to avoid high impact exercise because my knees don't like it. That's a smart use of the past. But when you blame the missus, the career, the family, the kids, the dramas, the shit on I can no longer enjoy my life and be happy and be healthy because of what happened in the past, that's when it becomes that bullshit mindset. When we're not future focused, we're held back by the past. And I'm sure, without digging into details, you guys all know what I mean because it happens. Yeah. Happens a lot. Number 9, ignoring the holistic shit stuff. Now, I was an anti-holistic person. I'm an asshole from way back. And I, when people said yoga, I'd fucking laugh at them, and I'd give shit to hippies, and I'd do all that stuff. When I was going through, when I was sort of going through into my 40s and 50s, there's nothing holistic about me in any way, shape, or form. If I exercised, I exercised and I dieted, but I would never talk meditation. I'd never talk mindfulness, manifesting. I didn't acknowledge that I had stress. I didn't consider that mindset was super important other than to build my business and achieve my outcomes. Now, in the fullness of time, after doing this for probably 6 years now, I now realise the absolute importance, if we're to think holistically, on getting our mindset to understand, or to getting our mindset to be a significant part of our wellness journey. So what does that look like? Well, we have the mindset pillar in the DadBod coaching simply because we know that there's blockers and motivators. That's really simple. There's some shit that's going to block us and stop us getting well, and there's some motivators that get us excited and on track. But beyond that, one of the things that we don't often talk about is the mental health and the stress and the relaxation, and making sure that from a holistic perspective, if we're talking wellness, we can't say we are well or on a wellness journey if we're just thinking diet and exercise. So the reason I've called it holistic is when we think wellness, when we go on a wellness journey, I have a lot of guys go, I'll just eat well and I'll exercise regularly and I'll get well. Well, no, you won't. You might lose a bit of weight and you might eat better, but that doesn't mean your stress level is going to go down. You're going to sleep better. You're going to be happier. You're going to love life better. You're going to have better relationships. You're not going to be angry and irritable and an asshole to be around. Doesn't mean any of that. Just means you're going to be a bit skinnier and have better food. So it's making sure from a holistic perspective that we don't lose sight. The other side of the wellness coin is the stuff that happens up here. And a lot of that can be helped through meditation, breathing, cold exposure, some structured activities. From just going to throw to Darren, we've just started cold exposure and breathing for you, and you've done meditation. How important is that side of it now in the wellness sort of, when you think wellness, how important are those two versus the food and the exercise for you?
It's proving to me to be an absolute hand in glove situation with it, for sure. It drives it for me now. The cold exposure stuff too, which came as a bit of a surprise. I wasn't expecting that. Yep. But since I've been doing that, some of the changes I've noticed of it's made things happen, made things really happen and fast.
Good. And when you say make things happen, can you? It's for Carl and Aaron. We do, as part of the program, we do cold exposure, which is two things. First of all, it's cold shower. So we do a cold shower at the end of a warm shower to create a cold exposure on the body, which if you've been in a cold shower, you know you get that fight or flight response, and dealing with that, the mind-body connection, telling your body it's okay to be in freezing cold water is a mind fuck, but it's a resilience tool. Then we took it ice baths as well, but Darren's going through the cold shower piece, and in Australia it's winter, so it's fucking cold. Now, Darren, when you say it's helped, is there anything about the cold showers that you've noticed from a mindset perspective?
It's hard to say. I mean, immediately after, it's exhilarating.
Yes,
that's for sure. But I feel calmer.
Yes,
I definitely have a sense of calmness, and like when I first started doing it, I would sort of dread the thought of, oh fuck, I've got to have that cold shower tonight. That's going to hurt. But now it doesn't worry me. I think about it coming up, and it doesn't worry me at all. I actually look forward to it.
Yeah, and I think that's what a lot of guys we get, because it's stress. I mean, it's still stress. Now, whether that's a fuck up at work, whether it's a fight with the missus, it's still stress, and how we deal with stress and whether we allow stress to impact us is going to affect our day. Whether you put cold water on yourself, that's a physical stress. The ability to deal with that through mind talking to body, using that tool in your day-to-day life, then overall, I've had so many guys who just say, I'm less stressed. I now, through structured breathing, through cold exposure, to being able to meditate, I can now deal with the stress more effectively. Food and movement's working, but I feel more calmer. I've spoken to a bunch of wives of the guys we've been through the program and say they're just nicer people. I mean, Renee may not say that to you, Darren, but they say they're nicer people, they're more calm, they're happier, they're more content in themselves. They don't bring their shit home from work and don't bottle stuff up. They just seem to deal with their stress more effectively. Make sense? So the holistic stuff, guys, that's the reason why. So if you've got questions, yell out. Number 10, shotguns and shiny toys. That's it's indicative of a personality. So there's a lot of guys who I bump into who are the A type, is that sort of success-driven, run your own business, do your own thing, manage your own career type guys. And they tend to be looking for shiny toys. They tend to try and buy every fucking gadget, gizmo, program, class that they can, because they're always looking for the quick fix. And they've got this shotgun approach because their energy goes out in a bunch of directions. I'll buy this course over here and this fucking ab toner here and this piece of this supplement here, and it just goes in this direction. So the mistake I see guys make is not settling down, choosing a person, a plan, a program. Whether it's right or wrong is not as relevant, but putting your effort into one plan, program, person, and then following that for the duration, saying it's working for me, I'm going to stick with it, or this is fucked, I'm out. And then I find another plan and process and go through that. These guys tend to put all the energy into looking at different things. They tend to make a lot of noise. They post, I'm going to do this, going to do that. And at the end of the day, 6 months down the track, they've done nothing. They've just pissed around the outside. They haven't actually made a commitment to a plan or program. So I don't know if that resonates with any of you guys.
It does a bit to me, to be honest.
Yeah. Stop pissing around the outside, Aaron. Get your shit together. Which,
true.
I mean, it does. And there's good reasons for it, because, I talk to the shiny toys guys and they're saying, I'm looking for the right thing. I'm waiting for the right one to feel good. And all that makes sense. It's not about not doing due diligence, getting the right plan, program, person. But when you let the procrastination of finding the right plan, program, person take so long that your wellness is suffering and you're really not getting anywhere, then you got to ask whether you're doing the right thing or whether you should just give something a start. And in a few weeks' time, 6 to 8 weeks, if it's not working for you, you can change tack, but at least committing to something to get the ball rolling. So that may be a good lesson. That was 10. Look at that. We went through 10. So any we missed was my first question there. Is any from you guys looking at yourselves and knowing mates who've gone on a wellness journey? If I said, what are the mistakes you've seen other blokes or yourselves make when it comes to managing their wellness? Would you add to that list? Carl, what have you got?
I don't know. I mean, with those 10 bullet points, you pretty much covered everything I could think of. I know there are certain ones that I've gone through that I can that I know myself I need to work on or address or get to. But I think these 10 cover it pretty good. So,
which one, if I was to say which of the 10 resonated with you the most, Carl? Which one slapped you in the face?
Well, let's see here. I know the part about communicating the plan to the different people in your life. That's kind of tough for me. I'm not really into. I don't know. I'm sometimes I don't like to discuss those kind of things. It's I don't know. It's weird. But that's also in my mind. Let's see here. The sleep, of course, the sleep for me is really bad, and I have tried to address that with the family, and we have made a few improvements, but not many. I'm still getting probably about 6 hours a night, which is okay, I guess. I mean, I can survive. I'm still here. And a couple of years ago, when I kind of started off on my journey here, on my wellness journey to get better, I kind of really got hooked on the different supplements. I basically like collagen and different like magnesium, and kind of got focused on those, and I wasn't able to focus more, or I didn't have a chance to just kind of set that aside and just focus more on just getting the work done as far as exercise, sleep, mindset, and such. So
interesting. Aaron, what about for you? Is there any you'd add to that list, or did any of those 10 slap you in the face and a bit of a reality check?
No, it doesn't really give me a reality check. I think it remunerates what's required to actually achieve a certain goal. And to be honest with you, I start things, but I don't seem to go on with it. Like eating well. I go several weeks of eating well, and next minute I'm going out for mates, and next minute I've had a few beers and a burger, and I just feel gross. And I said, "Oh, that's right. I'll start tomorrow." You know what I mean? My problem is always starting tomorrow when I should be starting now.
So how did you get to build your business and be successful in business if you weren't a finisher complete, if you couldn't stick to a plan? Is that a behaviour that you've recognised before?
Yeah, it's a behaviour. It is and it isn't, because I mean, when I built the business, it's always been a reactive thing, and I've always had to react to get to the next stage, or this is what I'm going to goals to do that next stage. But I never probably physically do it personally.
Yes.
I've always put myself second.
Yes.
When it comes to this stuff, and I'm getting to a stage where I've been working hard on it. It's been getting my mindfulness right, and actually trying to get myself first. Get myself going first, and things going secondary. So,
it's
but I'm a
interesting.
procrastinator.
Yes, yeah, I kind of get that from your behaviours. I always find it fascinating how many guys. It comes back from caveman days, how we spend the bulk of the early part of our life developing a career and business and feeding the family and raising the kids, and whether it's conscious or unconscious, we put ourselves second. We tend to justify our lack of wellness on, I'm doing this for the kids, I'm doing this for the family, I'm doing this for the future. And then we turn around at 40 or 50 and go, shit, I'm not well, but the kids are okay and the family's okay and I've got a bunch of money in the bank, but I've let myself go. And it's, if we catch it early enough, and at 40 is a good age to catch it, then you can turn it back. But if a lot of guys leave it too late and they've got this great career and family, but their whole wellness is falling apart.
Yeah, spot on.
Yeah. Darren, for you, anything you'd add to the list, anything that jumped out at you from the stuff we've done together?
No, not particularly. I think for me, that's captured pretty much everything.
Beautiful, beautiful. All right. So, Carl, did you say you had a couple of questions? Have we covered them off?
No, well, kind of just like topics, things that I've been thinking about that you kind of cover in your podcast, kind of like a whole topic. And I was going to talk about that. Basically, for me, for I try to get most of my healthy eating, I guess, during lunch at
Yeah.
work, and so I have to create meals here at the house to take to work. So I'm wondering if there are any hacks or things for like meal prep to kind of hit all of the good macros and all the good things to eat.
There is, yeah, there is, mate. I'll take it offline with you, but this the one that jumps to mind is there's a couple of, if you're looking for like tools to help you create the balanced meal, is that what you're kind of getting to?
Kind of, yeah.
So there's a couple of there's a really good site called Eat This Much, which I'll send you the link to. But it's you basically put in the macros you want and the number of meals, and it creates a huge variety of different meals, whether it's a lunch meal, to match the macros, and you can then pull down the shopping list and create the shopping list. So there's a couple of really cool tools if you want to create food based on proteins, fats, and carbs and macros that you need. There's a couple of cool tools. Would that help?
It would, yes. I think
Good.
so.
Good. Well, I can send you that. That's easy.
Okay.
Aaron, do you have any questions for me, mate?
No, I don't. The question, actually, I do. I do have a few questions. One,
You've run out. You said no. You said no. So
sorry.
Go on.
Actually, no. Think about now. Not about the actual 10 mistakes, but so the 12-week journey, is that more of a program? Is it does that start at a certain time, or you can start it tomorrow?
Let me do the next screen, mate. So the next screen's easiest.
Yeah.
Three options, buddy. So 3 options. It's easy, really. You all would know that Lynn and I make 3 videos a week. We do 3 podcasts a week. We've got about 500 there and about 150 podcast episodes. So you can basically do your whole wellness journey just by following the noise that I make. And that's all free, and you can just do that. So that's one option. I have a lot of guys who just literally listen to my the stuff and piece it all together and do it yourself. You don't have to pay a cent. So that's one way of doing it. There is 2 other options. So the option that Darren's currently doing, which is the Tough Love Intensive. So my program is called Tough Love Intensive. That's the 12-week program. That's the coaching program. So Darren's doing the one-to-one coaching program where I annoy Darren on a daily basis, and we have weekly calls, and it starts. So to answer your question, Aaron, it starts whenever you're ready to start. Darren pays me a fee each week, and I coach him and I take him through food, movement, sleep, mindset. I check his daily food, I check his daily exercise, I kick him up the arse, I yell and scream at him. Have I missed anything, Darren?
You ridicule me a lot as well. Yeah,
I ridicule you because when he does his body pics, he dresses up in stupid fucking underwear that's just ridiculous and no bloke should see.
Oh,
so
Darren, jeez.
Wait to see what I've got in mind for you next time.
So the Tough Love program, it's a 12-week program. The reason we choose 12 weeks, guys, is simply because behaviour change normally takes about 12 weeks. So the 12 weeks seems to work. I used to do 6 weeks, and I found so many guys just didn't get sustainability. They bounced back. So the Tough Love coaching program, one-to-one coaching, weekly video calls, daily coaching, 84 consecutive days. Dollars-wise, I'll give you the dollars because there's no secret. It's $200 up front, and then about $195 a week. Just as a ballpark. I mean, it's not ballpark, that's the number. I think that's why I charged you, Darren. Is that correct? Yes.
From memory, yeah.
I may have ripped you off, mate, because you're a wealthy man. So that's the number. So it works out about $2,600 for the 12 weeks. And then the third option there, which is the newest option, which a lot of guys do, and I've probably got about 15, 16 guys on this program. This is everything that I do with Darren. So it's the Tough Love 12-week program put into an online course. So essentially, I've taken each week of the 12 weeks, I've created 5 videos, food, movement, sleep, mindset, and an extra video on a weekly basis. And the guys who sign up for this course, they literally, every week they get 5 videos to watch and a bunch of activities. It could be around adjusting their macros and food, trying these exercises, cold showers, sleep hacks, and they work their way through at their own pace online through the 12-week program. There isn't one-to-one coaching involved. They jump onto a Facebook site and chat with the other guys doing the program. I'm there if they've got questions, but it isn't a coached program. It's called DIY because it is do it yourself. It works out to the price is $184 US today. And there's a $50 voucher that you guys get takes down to $134 US today. From the 1st of September, which I think is next couple of days, it actually goes up to $247 US. So it goes up. So it's, and there's the price it'll always be is $247 US. It's just been going up as we've launched the program. So that's the DIY program. And then the tough love one is the one-to-one coach program. So Aaron, does that make any sense to you? Have I over talked?
Yeah, it does. It does.
So, yeah.
So I have to work out. I have to get my my calculator out for as far as the US to Australian dollar stuff.
Yeah, I think. Sure, I reckon it's Darren. Help me out, mate. I think it's about $3,000, $3.5 grand.
Yeah, I think it worked out about 3-4. I think it worked out
3-4. So if you divide 3-4 by 12, I think you're probably going to get to a weekly amount, and you can pay that up front. You can pay it monthly. I can even, as I did with a lot of clients, I invoice the business, so I can call it training and development, invoice your plumbing company, and we can pretend if the ATO is not listening in that it's training and development for your company. So there's a whole bunch of options, Aaron, if that's the way you want to go. The only reason I'm talking to you about it openly is because you are a procrastinator, and the DIY program is cute for you, but I doubt with someone who's probably as busy as you are and openly procrastinates that you might not get through the program without someone kicking your ass.
Yeah, you're right.
So from a return on investment, that's 12 weeks where, as Darren will tell you, I'm going to have you by the balls for 84 days, and I'm not going to let you go. And I'm going to be on your case morning and noon, making sure you follow the process. You can't not get results. So Darren, just give us a snapshot. Your week 7, where you at? What's results wise? Where are you at?
So having it as one-on-one, if you're procrastinating, Aaron, like I probably would have been like that as well, and easy distracted. I would have thought to myself, yeah, I can do it. And I would have gone off target. I just know it would have happened. So by having it one-on-one, it just makes you completely accountable. You would think that, yes, I can be accountable on my own. You know, I want to be accountable for my wife and for my kids and for my family, and that'll hold you there. But it's really weird having Mike in the background, knowing that person's looking at your shit, and it just makes you do it. Okay. So I've dropped 7 kilos in 7 weeks. I was 104, and I'm a type 1 diabetic. Haven't been able to lose weight in years, and I've lost 7 kilos. I'm down to 97 when I weighed myself this morning.
Yeah, good on you, mate. Well done.
Yeah, so it's working.
And significant improvements in the diabetic side of things, in the insulin that you're taking, Darren, and the management of your diabetics. This is, we're getting leaps and bounds. So you are the poster. You're my favourite poster boy at the moment, because unless you die and then you're shit. So
I've had a couple of injuries along the way, like which I've been able to manage through it too, like because I'm 54, so these are a bit dodgy, I hurt my knee at one time, so I just had to back off there a little bit. I tweaked my shoulder a little bit, but I was able to, give that a bit of a rest and, change my exercise a little bit and just keep working around it, and it's kept it on track.
Yeah, awesome.
Whereas if I wasn't doing that one-on-one, I probably might have given up or,
Yeah.
So, Aaron, for you, the easiest thing is to, first of all, do the dollars and make sure that it's affordable. And then you and I will grab a 30-minute call. I'll actually, in the call, as Darren will know, I'll walk you through the program. I'll walk you through because there's some expectations. I don't want to tell you it's easy, because it's not. You're going to need to be able to commit to 12 weeks and have me in your face and looking in the bathroom mirror 24/7, making sure you're doing what you need to do. So there's some expectations. And if you look at your next 3 months, it's making sure that works for you. There is no right time to start. I've had this for years where guys have put it off. But, when you start weekend, whether you go on holidays, whether there's work commitments, we'll always work around that. So that can be done. But there is a commitment, if you want to do it, that we are going to change the way you eat. You are going to be exercising regularly. We are going to be focusing on your sleep. and you are going to be thinking about your mindset and changing your wellness mindset, all for the benefits of losing weight, getting fitter, managing your stress, being better, better father and partner. All that stuff is there, but it's also got to fit with your lifestyle. So we can grab 30 minutes and walk through that to make sure you're 100% clear if that's a direction you want to go.
Yeah. Okay. Awesome.